schedule it, but talk to your landlord, talk to your vendors, talk to your, awesome. All right. Well, I'm Jamie Gates. We're back for another live Facebook video here on the COVID business brief. And I'm joined by our past chamber chair. So he was chairman of the board. He's our immediate past president and regional president for Simmons Bank, Jason Culpepper. Jason, thank you for making time for us this afternoon.
Absolutely.
During a very busy week in the everywhere in the world, really. We wanted to get you in here. We have been encouraging people to, take a little time to prepare, but it is the time is now to talk to your lender if you have a lending relationship as a small business owner. We understand that maybe the phone's ringing a little bit more.
We've got a lot of folks that have reached out to us and are maybe trying to proactively prevent issues from popping up. A lot of uncertainty, as you would imagine. There's a lot of information in the media with respect to SBA options. I would encourage any small business owner to reach out to their banker and just go ahead and have those preliminary conversations. I wouldn't necessarily come at them unprepared. You need to be able to talk through kind of what your challenges are, be it loss of revenue, staffing challenges, supply chain challenges, whatever the case might be. Have those conversations with your banker. A lot of us don't know, the time frame right now. We don't know if we're looking at a 30-day plan, a 1-year plan, somewhere in between. So I would say, the sooner you can reach out to your banker, the better, and have those conversations and get a strategic plan together. I think all banks are going to be very, very willing to work with the small business owners right now. Remember, your bankers are your partners. We don't want you to fail or go under. So certainly there should be a very positive attitude there to, try to help steady the ship, so to speak. So.
Yeah, we understand that. So obviously every business, just like when you review an initial loan, they're all going to be viewed individually. It's going to be case by case. Just
right.
There's different standards of credit. There's different businesses will be affected differently by this disaster. But you have been banks across the country have been given some additional leeway this week from the FDIC and the OCC within the Department of Treasury. To make some accommodations, and what types of things might a small business ask for to improve their cash flow or liquidity?
It's still early on, so I don't want to say that this is an exhaustive list by any means, but I would say initially probably the 3 scenarios that we're seeing most often are just interest-only payments, so going from traditional monthly principal and interest payments, reducing that to interest-only. Some people are concerned enough that they're asking for full-blown payment deferments altogether, no payments for a short period of time. I would say typically that's going to look like maybe a 90-day payment deferral. We've had a few asking for longer terms than that. I would say most bankers are probably going to want to try to keep that leash fairly short and, kind of review financials on a more timely basis, monthly, quarterly, just to kind of see how things are going. And then also you can look for a line of credit, separate from your existing credit facilities that would just be more short-term in nature to help meet, payroll obligations and things of that sort. So that's what we're seeing most commonly right now.
Yeah, and just kind of processing that as you're walking through those scenarios, this isn't something you're going to solve with a trip to the bank. It is going to be a process. So maybe a 30-day deferral or a 60-day deferral turns into something longer, but your banker's making decisions about the entire portfolio, and there is a lot of uncertainty on when and how this resolves and how it will resolve for some businesses maybe sooner than others. And so probably wise for a business to have what's my short-term crisis response plan, what's my long-term operational costs and cash flow look like, during a economic recovery.
Absolutely. And I would say most of your good bankers are probably already having these conversations with the business owners anyway on a, pre-crisis, just in terms of, what's my contingency plan if things were to go really, really bad. Most bankers are probably going to ask, just kind of for your typical updated tax returns and financial statements and things of that nature. And like you said, assess on a case-by-case basis.
So, even we just had, Brad Lacey here, and we talked about, we had some restaurants post their record weekend 2 weekends ago. And so last month's bank statement isn't especially meaningful on March 19th. What can a small business bring their lender to represent the loss in revenue they're expecting? They need to be able to quantify it some way. So what might you be able to show?
Well, and again, I probably should have said this at the outset, but right now is the time to remain calm. I see a lot of people that are just kind of freaking out, panicking. Be calm. Remember that your banker wants to try to help you make it through this. Any type of financial information that you have that you've maybe worked with your CPA on in terms of your 2020 budget or your projections for the year, hopefully you've already got those, and maybe you've even had time to have those revised, based upon conversations you've had with your CPA. Anything that you can bring in to kind of quantify. It's not going to be real helpful if you come in and say, hey, I need an extra $100,000 line of credit. Well, you need to be able to kind of talk through what that looks like and where that money's going towards. Mm-hmm. So just be able to kind of quantify the numbers that you're discussing with your banker. And it's helpful to have, like I said, projections and maybe revised budgets that you've worked on with your CPA.
Yeah, and we've been telling people, so when you make this plan and you're trying to really determine what to ask for, there needs to be a rationale behind why am I asking for a deferral? Why am I asking, for this line of credit for this amount of time at this number? And so it really needs to, what the banker does is going to be driven in large part by your plan, because the financing is part of the plan, but your operational expenses are also part of the plan. So I think maybe a question they might expect is, have you spoken to your landlord? Have you spoken to your major vendors about what you can do mm-hmm. to improve your own cash flow and liquidity position? And as a banker, I'm going to help you after you've kind of sharpened your own pencil.
Sure, you have to help yourself, and certainly the banker's going to want to know what other sources of cash flow are available. What have you proactively done to, manage this situation yourself as the business owner? The banker can't jump in and be the fixer of all things. They need to see that the business owner is proactively working to limit the damage on their own accord, and then work in partnership with the banker to solve the rest of the problem.
Yeah, we plan to talk to Jeff Standridge later this afternoon about SBA lending. We've helped get the word out. There is a lot of information out there. That is a process. It's a process that will likely be overwhelmed by applicants, and it's taking place nationwide during a pandemic. So I feel like everything, even if you plan on pursuing SBA lending, all of the work we're talking about doing for your local lender is going to have to be done yes. in advance of that.
Yes. And I would encourage, the business owners to do the exact same thing. Even if you're going to go the SBA route, most of your local community banks have good working relationships with the SBA, and so their bankers should be able to help work in conjunction with the SBA to get them whatever it is that they're needing.
Going beyond, if let's say you're in a good cash position, you're in a business that you don't expect the roller coaster, and maybe you don't have a lot of debt. We're really talking about things everyone should be doing with their business regularly anyway, and just that, the world changed, and so your pro forma might need to change with it.
Yes. Well, you always want to make sure that you've got a master plan, right? A strategic plan, not just for the short term, but the medium term and even long run. You know, I've had many discussions about exit strategy and, you know, getting into a business and how to manage day-to-day operational challenges, and then also how to manage kind of that long-term expectation. And so again, these are conversations that should be happening pretty regularly, and now we just need to tweak them with, oh goodness, we've got a little bit of a speed bump now. How do we tweak this plan and go from there?
Yeah, and the exit strategy was for other people's businesses. I think we know, hopefully, what we'll be doing
Yes.
here for a while.
Yes.
I don't have an exit strategy. I'm coming to work, pandemic or not.
Well, I'm going to work for Jeff Standridge. He just doesn't know it yet, so.
It's good work if you can find it. I would say on some of these preparation documents, just because maybe it's easy to forget during times of crisis, when you're talking to your banker, you're going to need to have the documentation and make sure everyone's that you're making decisions for is represented. So we may have cases of co-ownership or shareholders or partial owners who are present or not. All of the regular transparency that's required in financing, you know, all the documentation is going to have to be. We're not relaxing things like transparency and documentation. We're giving leeway on terms and financing. So.
Yes, all of the standard regs will still apply in this case. So anything that you would typically be prepared to provide your bank, you know, be prepared to provide it now for sure. And on the SBA front, I think they look to any owner that is 20% or more. You know, they're going to be collecting all of that information.
Great. Well, it's something that everyone needs to be thinking about. You know, whether you know it or not, we're pushing people to reach out to their lender. So we're hopefully we're making up for the increased call volume by sending you someone who is more prepared to have a productive conversation. It's going to be a long run. We always want to thank City Church for giving us a great setting and all the production help as we do these. And Jason, this is where I would normally shake your hand, but it's a new world, so I'm not going to. Thank you. And obviously, you know, you can reach out to Jason, you can reach out to your local lender, and you can come to the chamber with anything you need, big or small. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.